Okay, so picture this. It's a scene every single one of us knows. You've just brewed your morning coffee, and you're left holding that little puck of wet, dark grounds. It looks so rich, so earthy. And you glance over at your favorite houseplant, and the thought just pops into your head. This has to be good for it, right? I mean, it just feels so right, doesn't it? It feels like the perfect little recycling hack. Coffee came from a plant, so putting it back into the soil for another plant, it seems like flawless logic. It's this beautiful idea of a miniature circle of life happening right there on your windowsill. And listen, if you've done this, your heart was 100% in the right place. But what if I told you that this incredibly popular tip, this thing you see plastered all over social media, is one of the biggest mistakes you can make for your indoor garden? What if that simple, well-intentioned act of recycling is actually slowly and silently harming your plants? Yeah, let's get into it. So the very first thing we have to get our heads around is what I call the container effect. See, the environment inside that cute ceramic pot on your desk is a completely different world from the soil in an outdoor garden. They are not the same thing, not even close. I mean, just think about it for a second. An outdoor garden is this huge, resilient ecosystem, right? Rain comes and washes things away, worms are constantly churning and aerating the soil, and there's a massive army of microbes that can handle just about any raw material you throw at it. But a pot? A pot is a tiny, closed-off artificial system. There is nowhere for excess acidity to go, nowhere for toxins to drain away. Everything you add has a direct, magnified, and immediate impact on that very fragile little environment. So when we talk about the harm from raw coffee grounds, it's not just one problem. It's a triple threat. It's a three-pronged attack. We're going to break down exactly how they can wreck your plants, chemically, physically, and biologically. All right, first up, the chemical dangers. Now, you might hear that used grounds aren't as acidic as fresh ones, and that's true, but when you add them over and over, you're still lowering the soil's pH. This creates a really bad situation called nutrient lockout. Basically, the soil gets so acidic that all the essential minerals, the stuff that's already in the pot, get chemically handcuffed. They become insoluble, so your plant can't absorb them. It's literally starving in a pantry full of food. And it's not just about acidity, it's the caffeine itself. You ever wonder why coffee plants even produce caffeine? Well, it's a weapon. It's a form of chemical warfare called allopathy. It stops other plants from growing nearby so the coffee tree can hog all the resources. And believe me, even used grounds have enough caffeine left in them to seriously stunt the growth of your houseplants. Now for what is maybe the most surprising problem of all, nitrogen drawdown. We've all heard coffee grounds are high in nitrogen, so that should be a good thing, right? Well, not exactly. That nitrogen is locked up inside the grounds, and for it to become available to the plant, bacteria in the soil have to decompose the grounds first. And to do that, they need fuel. And guess what their fuel of choice is? Yep, nitrogen. This whole process is what I call the great nitrogen robbery. Here's how the heist goes down. You add the coffee grounds, the soil bacteria see all this new carbon and they go into a feeding frenzy. But to power this huge digestive effort, they start sucking up all the available nitrogen from the soil, basically stealing it right out from under your plant's roots. So the very thing you added to feed your plant ends up causing it to starve for the nitrogen it needs for leafy green growth. It's crazy. Okay, let's move on to the physical dangers. You know how good potting mix is designed to be light and fluffy? That's to let oxygen get to the roots. Well, coffee grounds are incredibly fine particles, and when they get wet, they clump together and form this dense, heavy sludge. It's like pouring cement into your pot. It fills up all those essential air pockets, and your plant's roots, which need to breathe just as much as they need to drink, literally start to suffocate. And what happens when that sludge eventually dries out? Oh, it gets even worse. It creates a hard, water-repelling crust right on top of the soil. This is called hydrophobic crusting. So you go to water your plant, and you think you're doing a great job, but the water just hits that crust and runs down the sides of the pot, completely missing the root ball. Your plant is slowly dying of thirst, and you have no idea why. And finally, we get to the biological hazards. Look, the inside of your pot, it's dark, it's moist, it's already a pretty good spot for fungus to grow. But when you dump in a fresh pile of organic food like coffee grounds, you've just turned your pot into a 5-star mold factory. It's ugly, it can be an allergen, and it's a huge red flag that your soil environment is really unhealthy. And you know what loves mold and decaying organic matter? Fungus gnats. Adding coffee grounds is like sending out a formal invitation for a fungus gnat apocalypse. The adult gnats smell that decaying coffee, and they see a luxury resort. They lay their eggs, the larvae hatch, and they have an all-you-can-eat buffet. But when that buffet runs out, you know what they eat next? The tiny, delicate root hairs of your plant, causing devastating damage from below. Okay, so after all that, what are you supposed to do with your coffee grounds? The good news is, they are an amazing resource. You just have to do one critical thing first. You have to process them. See, raw grounds aren't fertilizer. They are an ingredient to make fertilizer. The answer, the real solution, is decomposition. The safest and best ways to use them are in a compost pile or worm farm. This process does everything we need it to. It breaks down the caffeine, it neutralizes the acidity, and it unlocks that precious nitrogen. It turns the risky grounds into a nutrient-rich superfood that your plants can actually use, with none of the downsides. So really, here's the big takeaway. Nature has a process and it has a timeline. You just can't skip the steps. That desire to use our kitchen scraps to help our plants is wonderful. It comes from a great place. But trying to take a shortcut by dumping raw ingredients into a pot just ignores the fundamental process of decomposition. So if there's just one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this simple rule. By respecting that biological process, by composting first, you are giving your plants something that will genuinely help them thrive. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it? If a tip this common, this widespread, is actually so wrong, what else is out there? What other popular garden hacks that we all see online might be doing more harm than good? It's a great question to keep in the back of your mind.